Within the first 5 minutes of my call with the owner of a consulting company, I found out he was paying $400 a month just to have someone answer his phone. Not $400 for an answering service, $400 because they charged him $2 every 30 seconds someone is on the line. And most of those calls were marketing calls. And that was just the phone. He was also paying for a CRM, a separate marketing platform, an appointment and client management tool, a prospecting tool, and more. All of them separate, none of them talking to each other. So just at first glance, we were looking at least $500 a month in tools, plus hours of manual work every week just to keep them from falling apart. If any of this sounds familiar, stay with me, because what we figured out in that one conversation might change how you think about your tech stack completely. But before we go too far, I'm Kim Roth. I help service-based business owners simplify their tech, stop the bleeding on tools that don't work well together, and most importantly, help them get their time back. I do discovery calls like this every week, and what happened in this one was such a clear example of what I see all the time that I had to tell you about it. Because the problem isn't that business owners are doing something wrong. The problem is that they've been patching things together for years. One tool for this, another for that, and somewhere along the way, the patchwork became their system. And that system became expensive and exhausting. So let me show you what we found and what's actually possible. When my client and I got on the call, he was looking at high level. He'd heard it could consolidate a lot of his tools, but he wasn't sure what a lot actually meant for his specific business. So we just started talking through what he was using. He had HoneyBook for client management and scheduling. He was using ActiveCampaign for email marketing. He had a phone answering service that was eating around $400 a month in per minute charges. Each one of them doing its job, but none of them connected. And here's what kills me every time I hear this. He was doing duplicate data entry. A lead would come in from one place and he'd have to manually enter it somewhere else every time. And that is what I call invisible work. The data entry, the copy pasting, the double checking. It doesn't feel like a huge deal until you realize you're doing it 10 times a day, every day, for years. So that's not a process. That's a second job nobody hired you to do. Now, here's where it got really interesting. He mentioned that his phone situation was one of his biggest frustration. He was getting calls, but a lot of them were marketing calls. And every one of them was costing him money because he was paying on a per 30-second billing. I asked him if he had ever thought of trying an AI receptionist. And then he came back and he said, well, I need it smart enough to answer questions without sounding like a robot. So I told him, we've actually done this. I have a voice AI receptionist running for a client across 8 of his hair salons. So he's getting about 450 calls at about 800 minutes in a month. His cost for that entire month is less than $40 versus $400 for one business. So now AI doesn't replace everything a human does, but it can screen calls, answer common questions, capture lead information, and book appointments. If it's a legit inquiry, it can notify you. It can send you a text message. It can email you a call summary, or even forward the call directly to you during business hours. And for those marketing calls, it would just handle them politely without costing you $2 every 30 seconds. So here's what I told him to do first. Pull the transcript from your current phone system. Feed that into AI and let it figure out what the patterns are. so that it can qualify what is a real lead versus a marketing call and build the screening questions from there. So here's what struck me most about this situation. And I want you to really sit with this and think about it. He wasn't doing anything wrong. Every tool he chose made sense when he chose it, but collectively, they were costing him somewhere in the range of at least $500 to $600 a month, not counting his time or his staff's time. This business experience was still requiring him to manually stitch everything together. And that's the trap. It's that one bad decision. It's a dozen reasonable decisions that quietly compound into a system that owns you instead of serving you. Not every software is perfect, and an all-in-one software isn't the right answer for every situation. But for him, with swapping out his phone service, his email platform, his appointment tool, and eventually his CRM, we're looking at the possibility of replacing 4 separate subscriptions with one. And they are all going to talk to each other. A lead will come in. The contact will be created. The appointment will be booked. A reminder will go out. A follow-up sequence will start, all automatically without manual entry, without chasing and looking things up in different softwares, and without that $2 for every 30 seconds cost. So by the end of our conversation, he said, "This is much more powerful than I anticipated." And that's what happens when you stop looking at tools individually and start asking how I need them to work together to save me time and make me more money. So if you recognized yourself somewhere in the story, or if you've got tools that don't talk to each other, or you're paying for a phone service that's quietly draining your budget every single month, click the links that come with this video. Get on my email list. Grab a spot on a demo call with us. We would love to answer your questions and show you exactly how a 24/7 AI receptionist could work for your business and how it could help you get more customers and make you more money. Because here's what I want you to remember. Business growth doesn't have to mean more complexity or longer hours. The right automations working for you in the background while you're living your life and working with customers, that's what will take your business to the next level.